Well, Anthony Albanese and Penny Wong have changed Australia's vote at the United Nations to recognise the permanent sovereignty of Palestinian territories. Now, this is completely out of step with both the Biden and the incoming Trump administrations on Israel. But this is also a major betrayal to Israel. And there is no reason for Australia to do this. There have been no moves by any Palestinian leadership to return the 101 hostages who have been held captive for over 400 days, including a baby and his 4-year-old brother, baby Kafir. They haven't agreed to any of the numerous ceasefire deals that Israel has sat down with. They haven't agreed to lay down their weapons. So who exactly does Penny Wong want to lead the Palestinians? Hamas? Is this who she wants to give recognition to? It's utter nonsense. It's illogical. Former Foreign Minister Alexander Downer had some advice for her on Chris Kenny's show a little earlier.
If I were in government today, if therefore I could give a bit of advice to Penny Wong and the Labor government, I would think about drafting a resolution which demanded that Hamas hand over the 100 or so hostages that they're still holding and cease attacks on Israel.
He's completely right. This move by the Albanese government is pure politics. It's just about the marginal seats they want to win over. It's got nothing to do with peace. It only rewards the terrorism of October 7. Now, I spoke with a senior Israeli politician about this a little earlier. Speaker of the Knesset Amir Ohana, thank you very much for coming on the program.
Good evening, Sharri, from the eternal capital of the Jewish people. Good to be with you.
What's your reaction to the breaking news today that the Albanese government here in Australia has changed its position to recognise Palestinian sovereignty at the United Nations?
It is very unfortunate and counterproductive. I hosted recently another foreign minister, and he told me that they consider to recognize a Palestinian state as well. I told him it is a great idea if you want to reward Hamas for the atrocities of October 7th. It is a perfect idea if you want to send a clear message to the entire terrorist organizations throughout the world that this is how to get the job done and to get their goals. Of course, the debate over the so-called two-state solution was a very live debate before October 7th. Following October 7th, and as long as we have our 101 hostages still held in captivity by Hamas, as long as we have tens of thousands of displaced civilians threatened by Hezbollah and other terrorist organizations, it is a non-debate here in Israel. It's very clear that it will only reward Hamas for the atrocities, which is unthinkable. So I hope that this notion, this idea will soon get off the table.
It's not even clear who would lead the Palestinian territories. I mean, it can't be Hamas, that's for sure. If the international community were actually serious about peace, they might put forward a motion, a resolution that would demand the return of the hostages. But, you know, it doesn't seem like they're as serious about peace as they are about rewarding terrorism. Ohana.
Indeed, indeed. Unfortunately, we see a vast majority amongst the Palestinian people supporting Hamas and supporting October 7th atrocities. And it goes board to board, you know, to both sides of the aisle, PLO, Fatah, and Hamas. Unfortunately, this is the case, and this is what we have to live with. But we will fight. We will continue to fight until we return safety and security to the entire civilians of Israel. Let me remind you that on October 6th, children were sleeping in their beds in Gaza peacefully. No one was after them. No one was after the people of Gaza. And unfortunately, Hamas broke that silence on October 7th. And now we don't have the luxury to wallow in grief and pain. We need to fight. That's what we do.
Israel and Saudi Arabia were close to normalising relations prior to October 7. Many say this is part of the reason that Iran encouraged the attacks by Hamas. When I met with your Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, he said, and he used the word determined, he said he was determined to get this done, this deal with Saudi Arabia, as a pathway to peace. Are you hopeful that this could happen while Joe Biden is still president?
Absolutely. Let me tell you, I think that Iran is not only Israel's enemy, or rather, should we be more precise, the Ayatollah regime of Iran. It's not the Iranian people, but they are enemies of peace. We were on the verge, as you said, of expanding the circle of peace. I was fortunate enough to be a minister in the government that signed the Abraham Accords with the first Trump administration, and 4 Arab countries, one of which is the country where both my parents were born and raised, Morocco. I was hosted by my counterpart, the Moroccan head of parliament, and that was a very significant thing. And we were on the verge of expanding the circle of peace even further, which Hamas was trying to stop on October 7th. But as you said, Prime Minister and the State of Israel is very determined to expand the circle of peace. Saudi Arabia is definitely one of the most, maybe the most important country in the Arab world. So it's a goal worth achieving.
Just in terms of the timing, how soon could this happen?
Well, to achieve a defense treaty between Saudi Arabia and America, they will need to get a majority, a wide majority, 2/3 majority. So that could only happen if some of the Republican Party currently sitting in the House and all of the Democratic Party will vote for. We know it's a possibility, but we assume that during President Trump's administration, which vis-a-vis Israel and U.S. relations are expected to be the golden age, but it will be more tough to bring 2/3 of the House. So we hope we can achieve it as soon as possible. But let me tell you that even if there will not be a peace treaty between Saudi Arabia and America, I think we can reach understandings that could be very fruitful and bring us closer together, even to a normalization and a peace agreement.
But if there was to be a formal peace treaty, if it was to go through the United States, as you just outlined, are you hopeful that this could happen in the next 2 months before Trump's inauguration?
We hope it will happen as soon as possible. As you said, we hoped it could happen more than a year ago. But we will never stop aspire for peace and extend our hand in peace to our entire neighborhood, as we have done in the past. And we believe that, and I think that President Trump believes and understands, that peace could come from strength, from power, and this is what we are doing currently.
Well, I'd love to get your reaction to some of Trump's key appointments so far. Mike Huckabee, Elise Stefanik. Given we saw that Joe Biden did threaten to withhold weapons from Israel, and there were other ultimatums in recent times as well, is this a positive sign, the appointments of Mike Huckabee in particular, of how the Trump administration is planning to cooperate with Israel?
Absolutely. When I see the team, the dream team, if I may say so, that President Trump assembles now vis-a-vis Israel-America relations, these are great friends of Israel throughout the years. I hosted the Elise recently, and I congratulated her for her appointee as ambassador in the UN. And I'm looking forward to work with those great people, those great friends of the State of Israel. And I do believe that we are about to experience the golden age of U.S.-Israel relations.
the golden age. Well, let's hope that will be the case, because Israel certainly needs friends on the international stage at the moment. We're hearing, and it is just media reports, but we're hearing media reports today that Tehran may have decided not to retaliate against Israel after pressure from the United States, perhaps because of Donald Trump as incoming president. Are you hopeful that Iran might not retaliate again? Are you hopeful that these media reports will be accurate?
We have shown the Ayatollah regime of Iran that we can act on Iranian soil, and we have put down a decisive reaction to their attacks upon us. If they will do a mistake and harm Israelis once again and shoot at Israelis, they're going to get another decisive reaction.
All right, Amir Ohana, pleasure to have you on the show. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Sharri.